My name is Ange Marie Botroh, and I work with Benoît Lafleur, David Paré, and Yves Bergeron. And today I will present my project on carbon losses after silvicultural practice. As who presented well, we know that wood forests are important carbon stock because this forest reduce atmospheric carbon, CO2, by their growth. And this carbon is stored in living biomass. And when this plant was died on one part, it fell on the ground. And this carbon stock was stored in the dead organic matter. And in the long term, a part of this carbon was returned in the atmosphere by microorganism decomposition. But one characteristic of boreal forest is with the cold temperature, there are many carbon in the organics in the soil in the boreal forest, and this organic in this cold will reduce decomposition and due to the accumulation on the soil of important organic matter layer on the soil. This organic matter can lead one meter, and when it reach 14 centimeter, it's called peat, or peat formation or paludification. And it is due also by the increase of growth of bryophytes, such as mosses and sphagnum. But this organic matter led a slow tree growth and decline forest productivity. We can see here the little trees, the open forest. And for the management, it's necessary to use some intensive silvicultural practices to disturb deeply the soil, organic soil, to ameliorate mineralization and foster tree growth and forest productivity. Many studies show that some intensive practice can lead plant growth and so accumulation of carbon in the tree. But this practice can also lead decomposition, which is the most important loss is carbon. So what is the impact of this practice on the decomposition and soil carbon stock? So my objective is to assess at the short term the effect of several silvicultural practices on the soil carbon losses. So in two kind of silvicultural practice, I will measure the decay rate of three species of bryophytes, mosses and sphagnum, and also I will measure carbon stock following this, such as following careful logging, which is called CPRS, and soil mechanical preparation, such as scarification. But I use in my study plowing, also called aero. And I will compare with the invested stands. So our hypothesis are: one, decomposition will increase with the soil disturbance severity. For example, here in the invested control, the decomposition is low, and in the soil mechanical soil preparation, decomposition will be high, and soil carbon will be high in the control stands, which is not harvested, and will decrease in the harvested or disturbance sites. My study took place in the northwestern Quebec, in the Quebec. In this region, in addition with Quebec, which it is a poorly permeable mineral soil, and the flat topography and the long fire cycle. This area is favorable to the for the solidification, for the peat formation. There are 6 blocks in my area study. This block was harvested in the 2011, and in 2019, I put in every treatment through 3 plots. In each plot, I put some decomposition bag at the 10 and 20 centimeter in the deep. In each plot also, I took organic matter sample and mineral sample to calculate carbon stock. And also I measure many other habitat factors such as temperature and water table. And to make a difference, to take a difference between the initial mass sample and final mass sample, I make a ratio to measure the decomposition rate. So I take initial dry mass and the final dry mass, and I calculate the ratio of decomposition. And I measure peat thickness and also carbon concentration to calculate carbon stock. And to access effects of this practice, I use some linear model and some other method to compare this practice. So I will present my results, but it is important to mention that I will only present for the 1 growing season. I make for 2 growing season my experience. So it is for what only growing season and for 2 kind of bryophyte, because I need some data to be sure for my result. So here you can see that the composition increase with the degree of the soil perturbation. It is higher in arrow and severance is intermediate than control. Also, you can see the composition for the Proosium, which is a kind of bryophyte, was fast than Capillifolium, which is another kind of bryophyte, but it is the sphagnum. Donc bryophyte is decomposed higher than Capillifolium, and arrow increase the composition than control. And there are some other variables which can explain decomposition, such as temperature. You present it well in your presentation about fire effects on the decomposition. So temperature can also increase the composition, and the incubation depth, where you put my bag at the 10 or 20 centimeter in the ground. According the result on the carbon stock, you can see that there are many carbon stock in the control than CPRS and the forest arrow. And carbon stock depend also of the horizon name, kind of horizon. So if you are in the fibric, on mesic, on humic, on mineral, carbon stock can depend on this kind of horizon. But the total thickness horizon which I sample, the total organic horizon, have more impact on the carbon stock. So when this variable is take account in my model, only arrow decrease the composition, you can see here, than decrease carbon stock than control and separates the intermediate. Here, there are always other variables which explain carbon stock, such as carbon concentration, total horizon type, carbon density, which can also increase the prediction of carbon stock in other area. Here, I show you the relationship between my factor habitat. You can see here, this number is characterized by the increase of opening canopy, which is normal, which you cut the trees, the canopy is open, soil temperature increase, and water table also increase. And control with is characterized by peat thickness. So this variation, you can explain the increase of the composition in the disturbed seeds. In conclusion, you can retain that these results show that the importance to take account soil disturbance severity for access effect of silvicultural practice on the carbon losses. So you can return if your disturbance is severe, you can lead in the short term carbon losses by decomposition, and can also reduce carbon stock in the soil. It's important to mention that this data need to be validated and to be. I will make some other statistical analysis for the best presentation of my results. And this result can help me because I want to also predict the carbon dynamic after silvicultural practice on the stand level and the landscape level at the long term. So that result can permit me to use a model, a Canadian model, to make a dynamic of carbon after this practice. And my result can also have some knowledge of the qualified forest management, to have some knowledge, and also you can be help manager to take some decision to reduce the impacts on the carbon stock, forest carbon stock. So thank you for your attention, and please, I want to ask you if you have some question to speak slowly because my English is not good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ange Marie. Are there any questions for her right now? Please raise your hand or use the chat room. Otherwise, I have a question. So this is kind of cool. There is, let's say, much more carbon than that's going above ground. That's what we're trying to do, is to shift the carbon pool from being in the soil into the forest above. Is that correct?
It is my first part of my project. I will make a model to it is correct because in the forest carbon there are a time to take to offset the loss of carbon because tree grow. Perhaps if I use this practice, because they increase a forest and tree, we can offset the loss of carbon in the soil. But I need to be sure that when and how many times it takes to make it. Is it okay or not? I don't understand.
No, it's very good. But I also was wondering, there's going to be some. Well, we anticipate that there's probably going to be some changes in terms of the possibility of disturbances such as fire, wind, or insects if we do this kind of management on a large scale. So I'm thinking that this type of management right now is experimental. So c'est juste à une petite échelle. It's only being done at a small scale right now, right? To understand what can be done with the carbon stocks, correct?
Yes, here is for the landscape, just for stand level. No, it's not your question.
Yeah, no, perfect. That works for me. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for Ange Marie?
Yeah, indeed, I have one. I was wondering, because I see part of your ecosystems, but the dead wood, do we have any idea about the jet lag in releasing carbon that it would take? Because I guess the time for degrading the dead wood might be quite long, so it might be a jet lag, but I was wondering whether it might be important or not at all at the time scale you consider.
You want to know if I take account a dead wood or
No.
not?
Oui, en fait, je me demandais dans quelle mesure ça biaisait effectivement la dynamique. Je ne me rends pas compte.
Au fait, les bois morts, ça occupe quand même une grande proportion du carbone du sol forestier. Ici, je n'ai pas pris en compte le deadwood parce qu'au fait, ce sont les mousses qui vraiment occupent vraiment, puisqu'ils sont vraiment dans les forêts palédifiées, ils occupent une grande proportion. Donc, il y aura voilà pourquoi mon travail, au fait, il y a une partie modélisation. En fait, l'objectif, c'est de la modélisation. Du coup, ces données permettront d'enrichir les données, mon modèle. Donc, dans la littérature, j'aurai des données qui vont intégrer tous les aspects, c'est-à-dire même les black sprays, deadwood, tout ça. Dans le modèle, il y a des paramètres qu'on peut modifier. Mais c'est la partie mousse qui vraiment occupe, qui a quand même une grande proportion du carbone du sol en forêt palédifiée, si je ne me trompe pas. Qui vraiment, il y a beaucoup d'incertitudes et puis il n'y a pas assez d'informations, surtout après les préparations mécaniques de ce genre. Donc, c'est dans ce sens-là qu'on a fait cette étude de terrain.
Ok, thanks.